Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my webinar today, which is all about how to build a better business strategy for 2024. We're just getting the webinar started. It is being recorded. A copy of this webinar will also be put up on our website within 48 hours that you can always go back to and refer to. But really excited about our webinar today, and we've got 40 people registered, so I'm just waiting for a few people to join, but it's really exciting because it's all about, how to build that business strategy for 2024. So, yeah. All right, and what we're going to cover today is the following. So, but before I do, I just want to make just a bit of a shout out. If you go into the chat box, can you hear me, see my slides okay? Just want to make sure that all that is going fine. So if you could just put something in the chat box, that would be absolutely fantastic. All right, so, yep, beautiful. Thanks very much. All right, so let's get into it. So the topics I'm going to cover today are as follows. So the methods of assessing a company's 2023 performance, including that recognition and praise. And I think that's a big thing. It's been a big year this year for many businesses, and a lot of people are tired now heading into Christmas. We're going to talk about the importance of establishing fresh goals and objectives for 2024 to enhance, I use this word, clarity and motivation. So what's our strategy? What's our, and getting really good buy-in and clarity for that moving forward. And then understanding the difference between strategic intent and strategic drift. How does that work? So we have this intention of where we want to go, but we don't actually follow the pathway. So this is all about how to effectively develop your business. And then I'll put some Q&As out there if you want to ask me some questions at the end of the webinar. So this webinar is being recorded, as I said, so I just want to make sure that that's true. Emma, if you could just double check that. I did click it. Yes, I did. So for those that don't know me, my name is Colin Wilson. I'm the Managing Director of Key Business Advisors. We've been operating for over 15 years. We're actually coming up to 16 years. Absolutely love what I do. I'm very passionate about our business. We're all about taking businesses from good to great. That's our mission. And I think what's really important is, how we just take them on a journey through all aspects of employee engagement and performance, which is our purpose of why we do what we do. And we're a great team, as a team of 12 within the business, and we just love working with our team members. So if you think about our mission is to take business from good to great, and our purpose is to take our customers on a journey through all aspects of employee engagement and performance, which is what I just spoke about before, so I know it off by heart. The 4 pillars in our business are as follows: business strategy and growth. So what is our strategy and how we're going to grow? We're all about building that culture around people, So if we've got, the different in the book, Good to Great, which is our catchphrase of our mission, you can have a good business, but what's the difference between a good business and a great business? It's its people and it's its culture. So if you've got great people and a good culture, then I think that's really, really important. And we help businesses improve on that. And then we're an outsourced HR business. So I think, again, that is all about what we do. We have a wonderful team of professionals that support many companies throughout Australia in supporting for their HR needs. And I just want to put it out there, we like to do the proactive stuff rather than the reactive stuff. And then we're all about, that leadership and management training. I think it's really, really important that we, training is a big thing. So there's 4 pillars to our business, as you can see. And one doesn't work without the other, if I can say that. I call it our proven methodology. When we go into businesses and we support them with these four pillars, we know we get the best results out of that team. Okay, so let me get into my first topic, which is methods for assessing a company's 2023 performance, including recognition and praise, right? So again, I think what's really important is, just how we set that up and what does that look like between now and the end of the year, and how you address your team. So I always talk about what you can't manage, what you can't manage, what you can't measure. So anyone's done training with me will know about that. And that is all about, looking at some of the things that we do. Now, most businesses we know always look at the financial results. So if we've got a sales business, well, okay, did we achieve our targets? Yes or no? But I think I want you to go to that next level and talk about, our financial results, but also, use this thing which I call about sustainability. Because I think what's important is how you become more sustainable as a business. So we can have a high month and we can have a low month, and those peaks and troughs. But look at the sustainability of the business. What do we need to do to actually? What have we done well this year that's created that stability of your business? You think about your organizational strategy. So if you did have strategy, so a lot of companies we've done some work with where we strategized and did some planning of this is where we want the business to grow. And these are the areas that we want to grow in over 2023. Sit back and reflect and go, well, okay, we've done really, really well here. Not so well here, but it's all about looking at the gaps rather than being negative about it. Look at the products and service offerings. So what worked well, what products and services worked well, what didn't go so well as well. And I think you can maybe put some some context around maybe why it didn't go well. I think is important. People and capability. So we got the right people in the bus, as it talks about in Good to Great. And our capability. So did you do any training this year where you've tried to upskill people and try and get that motivation happening? So I think it's really good to reflect on what you've done over the past 12 months. Marketing initiatives. So what's some of the marketing initiatives you've done as a business that's worked really, really well and been successful? And what are some of the things you want to do for next year? But again, this is all about reinforcement. Some business processes. Did you put any processes in, like a new CRM, or did you create any change within the business? And then did you implement any type of new technology? So whether it be software, whether it be hardware, whether it be laptop computers, whatever it may be, new technology, I think is what's really, really important. A lot of clients that I work with, we talk about this thing called the growth strategy. So are we growing? So, what's our strategy? Are we growing? Have we grown in 2023? And I think, that's an area that you want to sit back and actually really showcase that to the team before the year is out. And that's something I want to talk about, certainly with my team here and just do a bit of a wrap up of the year. I think it'd be really important. And then, look at our compliance and risk. So do we put some things in place that might support the business that's actually, made it more, where whether it be WHS or whether it be, road safety or whatever it may be, what have you done, or HR, IR, what have you done within the business that's trying to minimize your risk? And then the big thing, you want to look back, did you do any type of team building events or client events? Did you do anything exciting, throughout the year where you've done a bit of travel or whatever it may be? But this is all about, well, how do you put some, some things in place that you can go back and go, well, okay, here are some stats. One of the things that I'm going to do with my team is, just to give you a bit of a tip, is I actually want to look at, I already know the numbers, but I want to showcase them where we were, what we've achieved this year. What did we achieve? Where were we at this time last year? And where were we at the year before, which was obviously coming out of that dreadful thing called COVID. So again, my team can certainly see that we've got the growth, and we looked at also some of the companies that we've onboarded this year again. So all of this is about creating that positive energy, that positiveness within the business. If it's all negative in your company, then obviously you've got a major problem, and I suggest you give us a call. But you've got to sit back and look at what are the positives that come out of 2023, because what you don't want to do is finish the year off on a big negative, where your team decide, well, this is not the company for me anymore, and move on in the new year. So you want to make sure that you finish the year off strong and be very appreciative. One of the words I use is grateful. I'm very grateful for the team that we have here at KBA. So my tip, as I said, is to focus on the positives and look at the gaps and review what went well, what you need to work on for 2024. So, we've overachieved in some areas and we've underachieved in some other areas, and that's just part and parcel of how it works within a business. So we can think about, well, okay, what was, and we discussed it this morning. So for an example, recruitment is a big thing. So this time last year, we were probably 6 times the amount of recruitment that we've done than we've done so far this year, especially this financial year. So again, there's been reasons for that, because it's been hard to recruit, but I think we're starting to see the world open up for us, for people wanting recruitment in January 2024. So that's a thing that we want to focus on. Okay, so I hope you like what I've talked about in that little tip. So that recognition and praise. So I just think it's what's really, really important is acknowledging and thanking staff for contributing to the company's goals and objectives. So these are the things that we've actually achieved. These are the great things that we've actually done. And I think you need to recognise and praise, individuals, teams and individuals who have gone above and beyond during the year. And I think that's a great way of doing it. And I'm speaking to some companies at the moment where the year is moving so fast, coming to an end. They might do it as a new year kickoff as well, reflecting on last year and then moving forward for 2024 in January. And you need to educate staff about what worked and what worked well and what didn't go so well throughout the year. So I think that's what's really, really important, and also highlight the gaps we spoke about. And these gaps are going to be your priority for 2024. So again, what you do is, if it's going to be a priority, then how do you put some marketing behind that? How do you put some, some energy behind that? Maybe some incentives if that's what you want to do. But all this is about, bouncing back if you want to, if you want to create that within your business. And I think, as I said before, you can reflect back on the past 2 to 3 years, especially with COVID. So, and I think if you think about the changes your company went through and how you pivoted out of it, I think I sort of want to go back into that with the team, and there are people on this webinar that are throughout Australia. There were people in WA, South Australia, Queensland. But I think the ones that really got affected was obviously our Melburnians and the regional areas of Victoria and also New South Wales. We had, 246 days of lockdown. So again, we try to pivot out of it, and we've done a great job in doing that. And I think it's a time, this year is a time to sit back and go, you know what, we are so much better off now than where we were a few years ago when we went through that awfulness of shutdowns. So as I said before, you need to finish the year off on a high and celebrate this with your team. So, whether you've done a Christmas party already, I think fantastic. I think that's a great way of doing it. And I think also maybe, towards the last day of the year is another great way of sitting back and just going through some of the highlights of 2023. All right, so that was my first topic with the very first one. And feel free if you want to ask me some questions, you can throw them in the questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. But, this is all about, it's a webinar to try and, share my knowledge and what we think we're doing very, very well in helping many businesses out there, and including ourselves. Okay, my topic 2 is about the importance of establishing fresh goals and objectives for 2024. And we talk about to enhance the clarity and motivation. So what do we want people to do in 2024? And some of you might have already started the conversations. I've certainly started some of the conversations within my business with certain team members. Let's get really good at this. And this is what we need to do to actually fix it. And, the reason why, if I can say I've started some of those conversations is, for some of the team members, it might be a bit quiet, towards, end of next week or towards next week and the early start of January. So it's a good time to try and get some processes and systems. And for anyone that knows me, we're all about CRM updating and making sure we've got all that right information that's out there. So I think what's important is getting that clarity and buy-in. So, whether you do that this side of Christmas, which is probably high unlikely, but in the new year, let's just workshop some of your priorities or what you actually want to change or what you want to put in place. And again, putting that plan in place for 2024, I think is a way of motivating, kickstarting your team off. So you want to set some fresh goals and objectives, and then maybe create some KPIs around them on the company. Like these are the things we're going to do, and if we achieve this, this is how we're going to go and celebrate it. I think what's important also is to follow through with the future team meetings and training sessions. So if we're going to put some goals in place and we're going to train our team, that's what the plan is, then just lock it in, make it happen, if I can say that, because that's really going to show the team that are coming back to work in 2024 that, we're ready to go, ready to recharge, restart, and keep the year off. Very important, I think, plan on who needs to be trained. And I think anyone that knows me, why do they need to be trained? What is the reason why they need to be trained? If they're a new starter, then obviously that makes sense. But if that's someone that's been in your business for 3 or 4 years or 10 years, why do we want to train them or retrain them? Is it motivation? What is the reason behind that? And I think that's really, really important. Maybe look at ways to incentivize. That could be something you want to take into 2024. So, we want to continue growing and keep going in the direction where we want to do. So what could you do to try and incentivize? And that doesn't have to be monetary. It could be some, things like time off, or I know at the beginning of this year, we created a wellbeing day for everyone, which was in November, birthdays, having a day off on your birthday. Think about those things that you want to, to celebrate the wins. What could you do to try and create some of that motivation? Have a clear plan that's linked to your mission, vision, purpose, and values. So again, anyone that's worked with us, we are very strong with that. So everything behind what you do is supported by that. And, and I think a big one for 2024 is, I've got huge trust with my team here at KBA, but, maybe you can look at ways where you build higher trust. And when I talk about trust, what I'm talking about is that if, someone's got a job, and the easiest way to explain it is, we don't have to manage people here at KBR. I don't think we manage people at all. I think people manage themselves and they hold themselves accountable. And that's where the trust factor comes in. So I think certainly that's going to be a message for myself and my team going into 2024 is just how do you build that trust levels, you know, to that next level where you don't have to manage people, they self-manage themselves and they manage upwards to you about what to do and create that business. That is the greatest feeling of all time as a business owner or a manager, when you know your team is firing on all cylinders and you don't have to manage them. They're actually managing themselves and they'll hold each other accountable, I think is really, really great. So this is all about building that, better team culture. And I think, what does 2024 look like going into new year? How do you want to build that culture? And I've just given you a really good example. And what do you need to do to try and get that culture or get that team culture across the business? Last week, I did a massive strategic planning session for an organisation. And one of the things that they talked about is, and I would love this too, all right, is how we become more consistent with what we do within the business. So consistency in, all aspects of the business, consistency in financials, consistency in, sales performance, consistency in our marketing strategy, all of these things, consistency with our HR best practice. All of this is what takes the business from good to great, if that makes some sort of sense. Okay, so my next slide is about creating change. So for those organisations that need to create change, and there are plenty of organisations out there that have been doing the same thing, getting the same results. And if that's the way that 2023 has been for you, then you've definitely got to look at creating some sort of change or motivation within your business. But again, we do this. We workshop priorities, and then we use this what, why, how. It's a proven method. So what do we need to change? Why do we need to change? Why do we need to change things? Why is it we need to do this? And the big one is the how. How do you think we can change? And I think, getting into that emotional intelligence of, your management team or your leaders or even your whole team, all of your staff, all of that is what creates, great change and motivation within the business. And I think, I made the comment about, you need to get clarity and buy-in with your team so they own it for a positive change. So, I might make suggestions, and I had a great conversation with a couple of staff members before, made some suggestions. This is what I'd like to do in the new year, but I'll let you plan it out and tell me how you think that should work. And then I just want them to own it and then run with it. And already, one of those particular staff members has sent an email out to a few of the team members and say, right, my job is to get you organised in 2024. We're doing this bit of a roadshow at the moment, and how about we do some planning with you and get this set up for you for 2024. So that's not me telling someone what to do. That's just handing the baton, if I can say that, to somebody who I have huge trust in, that can just go and make it actually happen. All of that creates team cohesiveness and motivation. And the value of positive communication. So again, you are what you think, right? If I can say that. So I'm definitely big on this. The value of positive communication. You can be constructive, but you've got to be careful about how you be constructive. And we've heard about organisations that have done some fantastic things where they've created this positive environment within their business. Because what does it do? It enhances motivation and it creates belief. And it creates team alignment. People are more engaged, and I think the care factor is higher with littler mistakes, right? So high self-esteem, you get that positive energy, that business growth, and what comes with it is more revenue. I think is what we're all looking for as business owners and managers, because we're all KPI targeted on financial performance. Okay, so if you think about the reverse of that, well, what could negative impact do? Right, negative communication. So it will impact motivation. It will create some sort of uncertainty. Am I in the right job role here? Am I not happy here? It might create conflict with peers within your team. Disagreement. For me, that low care factor, more mistakes, and we see that where people just don't own their job. So it's important that we keep our communication positive. And if it is negative, then you do it through a proper HR process. And you can look up one of our performance management webinars, or you can contact us and we can guide you through that. If you've got disgruntled employees, or negative communication creates, that disgruntled employee, that poor self-esteem. And One thing I will say, if I was to look at a KPI, not our preferred option, but this year of all years has probably been one of our biggest years ever in bullying and harassment claims and work cover issues. And it's something we haven't been targeting. It's not something, it's just been organically, people come to us and say, we've got a problem, we've got a huge problem, and we're trying to fix that, and then try and fix the business as well. If you've got negativity within the business and you've got disgruntled employees and things aren't working, then it's very hard to finish a year off high and go into 2024 with a real positive impact. And by the way, I will say that, there's a couple of companies that we've been working with that have got rid of some negativity in their business, and the rest of the company is just lifted like there is no tomorrow. So, you just got to sit back and work it out where you're at. And again, that's what we're here for, to help. For me, we're all about, good to great is all about staff engagement. Staff engagement is everything. So the more aligned the team is, the more productive it will be. Engagement is having everyone on the same page and fully committed to what I always talk about. Your strategy is your strategic plan. What is your plan that where you want to go? That's the pathway of it, allows everyone to follow. We want everyone wants to work more collaborative, being more cohesive. So again, that's really, really important. And staff take ownership and responsibility to achieve the company goals and objectives. In my team, they know if we're doing well, if we're not doing well. They know if I'm hurting as a business owner because we haven't hit the targets of what we need to do. And they care. The care factor is huge. And I think that's the real key to a successful business. If it was always green and growing and perfect all the time, then no one would believe me on the webinar. We all go through the ups and downs, and that's just the way it works. I think, again, good synergy and communication. And we've just recently, before this webinar, I'm going to see a client do a massive presentation tomorrow. And one of the things they did an employer and staff satisfaction survey, and the year previously, everyone complained about the communication. And this year it's flipped it on its head. So again, there's ways to find out if you've got things that are not 100% working within your business. And I think, staff work, you've got to work with the different personalities and the different people within your business, and different, people with different backgrounds, different age brackets, a different generation. That's what makes a great company. Having everyone the same is boring, but having multiple, people with different cultures, backgrounds, you can do things like have an international day, bring in your favorite food. There's all things that you can do to create better engagement within your team. So that old word team, together everyone achieves more. I don't have to educate you about that. Everyone knows what that means. So there's no I in the word team. And again, I think that's a big thing. This webinar is all about how do we recognize 2023 and how we go into 2024 with that positive outlook within the business. Now, I'm going to talk to you about staff training, right, and development, because that's probably, during COVID in our business, that's probably what killed us. All of that stopped. But if ever I've seen companies invest now because they want to keep their good staff, they're doing a lot more training now than ever before. So I think that could be something that you want to look at going into 2024, and getting that clarity. What do we need training on? What's going to make this company grow and be a better place? So again, I'll look at the outcomes. What happens when you do training is that staff, self-satisfaction, staff feel valued and empowered. They have a purpose, more productive, more job satisfaction, and more rewards. And then that's the outcome for the staff member. And then what's the outcome for the business? Well, skillful and talented employees, an increase in productivity, and a reduced waste of time. So people know what they need to do, get on with it. And that's just, it doesn't have to be, it could be systems training on new software product, or, it could be training on, learning about people's profiles, or it could be sales training. If anyone's done sales training with me, it's one of my favorite things I love to do, or leadership and management training. Again, I love doing that as well. So, it creates those less mistakes and reworks. And I think the big one is the better customer outcomes. So, no one, it's customers who pay our invoices. It's customers that pay our wages. It's customers that keep us in business. And I think that's a really big message that we've got to get out there to our team, especially the younger generation that's coming into our workforce. I think that's something that they really need to understand, that it's the client that pays their wages, not the actual business owner. And the last one is that more profitability. I think that's the big tick. If we become more profitable as a company, then we can do things. We can expand. We can have a bit more reward for effort for the team. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed topic number 2, and now my topic number 3, which is around understanding the difference between strategic intent and strategic drift to effectively develop your business. So what happens, a lot of businesses, they come into the year with 2024 and go, right, this is our strategy, this is what we're going to do. And it's a bit like that New Year's resolution, you know, and a great one is I'm going to lose weight. And then we start, and then what happens is we drift and we don't go to the gym, we don't do all the things we know we should do, we eat the wrong foods. It happens the same thing in business. So I just got this little diagram here is, you know, why do some businesses grow while others don't? So for me, you know, and I have a wonderful person who's joined me in our business of recent. His name is Scott Kelly. You know, he's been a client of KBA for well over 10 years. He's owned 13 businesses over his time. And, you know, this is right down his alley, as it is mine, in around, this is where our business is at today. This is our strategic intent. This is where we want to take our business, and we want to follow this pathway. But then what happens is that strategic drift. And, you know, what I want to say is, you know, if you are drifting, then you know, what's important is you don't let it drift for too long, because the gap, as you can see, why the gap will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So again, that's a big process of, you know, you do a strategic plan, but then who holds you accountable to actually execute that strategic plan? So, and there are businesses out there and there are industries out there, and there's some people on this webinar that, you know, part of a big industry group that change every 5 minutes. So it makes it really hard to have that strategic intent. But I think what's important is, you know, how do you stick to a plan, create a pathway for people to follow, and get all your leadership team 100% behind, you know, what you're trying to achieve as a business, and just execute it, you know. And I think, hand on heart, I'm really proud of my team. I think we've done a very good job of that this year within our business, more so than any other year. So I think what's important, it is about making sure that you don't drift in 2024. And part of your, you know, when you talk about, you know, what do you want to do in 2024, talk about the drift. We don't want to drift. We need people committed. We need people to stay on the same page, be in the same lane of where what we're trying to achieve. So to make 2024 a successful year, here are my tips. Number one is to make sure you have some form of strategy, a strategic plan. Now, you know, some companies are good at doing it internally, other companies are not. And if you're not, then that's where you engage us to come and help you do that. Some people need that accountability. So, you know, if I go and get a personal trainer, you know, to try and help me get fit, that's why I pay him to do. Well, that's what people do with us. From the strategy side of things. So again, what is your strategic plan, and what do you need to do to try and do it? I definitely think you need to benchmark your satisfaction. So for employers out there, are you happy as an employer, and what format does that look like? You know, we offer this as a product to do employer satisfaction, and we also offer a product to do staff satisfaction as well. So again, are my staff happy? Have we made some sort of shift? What do I need to do as a business? And I think when you do an employer staff satisfaction survey, it's like putting a thermometer into the company to find out, well, how good's the temperature, and then what do we need to do to actually grow and fix it. I think you need to keep growing or making the necessary changes needed. So, you know, we're working with some clients, and everything I talk about is what we do in a day-to-day business, you know, for our clients. But we've always done it this way. We need to make changes, and people don't want to change, and that's a fact of life. But if we show them the reasons why we need to change and really be open and transparent, then hopefully they'll come on board. But if not, then maybe you need to change them. I'll say that because you know, businesses of today are more fast-paced than ever before. You know, when we do a strat plan, you know, we used to do a 3-year plan with a 5-year vision. Today's world, we do a 2-year plan with a 3-year vision, because the market just changes so fast. Definitely, and a big one for me is train your team to be the best. I think that's really, really important. And we want to make sure that your staff are doing meaningful. What they're doing is meaningful. So if they're not loving their job, and they're not passionate about their job, and the work is not meaningful, then that's the big question mark. Will they stay? Will they help you take your business from good to great in 2024? And I made that comment before. You can have a good business. The difference between a good business and a great business, and it's in the book From Good to Great, is great people. drive a great business. So again, we want to have people who are passionate. And then the big one for me is everyone on the same page in being part of a winning team. So, you know, what does winning look like within the business? All right, so I've given you 30 minutes of my energy, of what energy levels I've got left at this time of the year. Do we have any questions? So please put some questions in the question box, because I love it when people ask me questions and put me on the spot. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to let you know, I'll come back to that in a sec, but we have some free information downloads. So, you know, you can download this off our website, or you can learn more about strategic planning. I think that's really, really important. You can learn more about, you know, benchmarking, you know, the team satisfaction and what you could do to try and help the team grow. And you can learn a bit more about change management. We've got information on our website. We've got downloads on our website. All of this is free information, and feel free to look at that. And then, you know, come next year, in January, I am going to bring in the guru, Scott Kelly, who is joined our team. I'm very excited about. And, you know, he's been a great friend and a great business colleague, if I could say, or not business colleague, a client of ours, for, as I said, for a long period of time. But together we're going to do a webinar on driving performance outcomes. They're free webinars. It's on Monday, the 22nd of January. So feel free to go to our website and register for that. I think it's really, really important. Okay, so do we have any questions? Come on, please give me some questions. They're still on the webinar. You know, what questions have you got? Come on. And you can think of one. Cass, you can think of one. David, I can name and shame you, but just give me a question of what you want to, what you thought of the webinar, or what are some things you'd like to do, or get some questions you want to ask me. Feel free to do that. No questions, a silly question, by the way. So all you got to do is just put it in the question box. Okay, so I've got a beautiful question here. Here we go. How can I motivate the employees? Well, okay, well, for me, what's important is, if I go back to, that goes back to, you know, this area here of just really showcasing where your business is at. And, you know, so people think they've got to go and motivate their employees by money. Yes, to a certain degree, but I think what is important is, you know, talk about the mission, vision, and values, and the pathway where you want to go, I think is really, really important. And David, yes, the slides will be available. You'll be able to see the whole webinar, and yeah, just feel free to email us, and I think you can see the whole copy of the webinar. It'll be up on our website in the next 24, 48 hours. But I think, you know, how do I get my staff motivated? Well, clarity, I think, is really important. You know, so I talked about that today. So role clarity, what you want them to do. You know, you'd be surprised how many businesses we go into and people have made some changes, and they haven't really gone back and done that clarity. Okay, here we go. Cass, we're doing an end of year brainstorming to make 24 amazing. Is this a good strategy, or can I keep my team? 100%, this is a good strategy. And thank you for joining the webinar. So we go into companies, and that's what people do, is they pay us to extract information from the team to go, what's the strategy be, and then put it into some format of an action plan, and we call that a strategic plan. So feel free to, you know, to have a look at what we've got on our website and what we've done, because I think that's important to show that pathway. Okay, do I have any recommendations for managing time more effectively for workers who work from home? Well, okay, so that's a really good question. So again, you can do some things around time management, but my tip on that is, for people who are working from home, what projects are they working on, right? So they've got their job, but again, if they're going to work from home, you know, a project has a start and a finish. So what projects are they working on? So, you know, that's about their time management. So if you're going to work from home and you're going to spend a whole day at home, you know, what's in your diary plan? If I was to open up and show you our team's diary plan, I know exactly what our team members are doing, what they're working on, and it's all basically project-based. So, and again, it's about meaningful work. But if you've got somebody who's not motivated working from home, then the chances are you're not getting the best out of them. And again, for people who work from home, I can talk about that. You know, swings and roundabouts. You know, we have 3 staff members in our business who work from home. I do not once ever wake up at the middle of the night worried about if they're working or not working, because we're all action focused. We've got our plan. We know what we need to do. They own their roles. So, and they just do it. And, you know, what's the word? I don't stress over that. So again, if the company's going well and everyone's contributing, that's a cohesive team, then I think that's really important. And if you've got a great team and it's cohesive, then you as the manager don't have to manage that person work from home. The whole team will manage that person work from home. I think is really important. All right, I'm glad we got some questions. You're doing well here, team. Okay, so what are some reasonable incentives to keep staff motivated next year? So, okay, so there's things that you can do just on incentives. So you can look at and sometimes what's really good is to actually survey your team members and ask that question. But, you know, for companies that we go and do work with, you can do things like bonuses, quarterly, monthly bonuses. You can give away, you might give somebody a dinner for two to a value of something. So thanks very much for putting in. We offer a birthday, as I said before. So if you've been here for 12 months, and it's your birthday, you can choose a day off, it's all paid for either side of 5 days of what your birthday is. You can create some wellbeing days. You can do a bit of fun. We did a great race in town, earlier on this year. A lot of fun, a lot of mucking around. So I think, there's just things that you can actually do, and nothing beats a good old, team get together for a bite to eat or a drink or something like that. And I just think acknowledgement. So motivation is an interesting thing. And I put it back to this simple process, and we'll finish the webinar up on this, right? So, you definitely want to, it's driven from the top. So your strategy of where we want to go in 2024, this is the pathway we want to go down. Then it's every leader in the business has got to be singing from the same book and delivering that message down to their teams. Yeah, so we're all on the same page. And depending on the size of your company, but I'm very big on doing quarterly get-togethers to let them know how we're tracking to our strategy. Everyone knows how we're tracking financially, but how we're tracking to our strategy as an overall business. And that could be things like even moving location or creating a new website or something like that. People just want to know that we're actually doing it. So it's got to be executed all the way through to the team. All right, I've got a couple more come through. Joe, so do you have any recommendations for managing time, which I've talked about? Any suggestions in managing excessive overtime as submitted by a home worker where the workers come at ad hoc due? Okay, so that's probably a question I'd take offline. If you feel free to give us a call, Joe. But I think, if you've got excessive overtime, you've probably got to look at the what is the capacity, or what work are they actually doing it? And are they doing it effectively? So, that goes back to systems and processes. And again, if I was doing a strat plan, one of the things I talk about, and I always talk about it, is, we have got people doing overtime. So what are some of the things that we could do to try and stop that? So we can put on more staff that most businesses can't find or can't afford, but can we look at different software solutions or some things that we can put into the business to try and become more efficient? So in a company that I've done some work for, there is people doing manual paperwork, there is people sending emails, there's people using a whiteboard, and there's people using a software program. So, the big one for me is, how do we get everyone on the same page? That's probably a really good way of doing it. Okay, so I hope and I feel free to give me a call afterwards, Joe, if you want to talk to me about that, because I think that's really, really important. I'm just going to go and check couple more things. Okay, and last one is David. So the younger generation, they may not many are career orientated. They're less interested in putting in a hard yard in progress. You're 100% right on this. And I actually saw a program on Good Morning Australia, or the TV show. I was in Adelaide last week. And one of the things that they talked about is the current generation coming through school are not ready for the workforce. And that's due to things like COVID and things like that, confidence, self-confidence. And we have a company called Kiba Careers. We run a career program for young people to try and get them motivated, to try and teach them the business acumen. So I think what's really important, Dave, if I can give you a tip on that, is when you're recruiting a younger person, you really got to really explain that, how your business operates. And you've got to start teaching them the business acumen of the business, because They don't understand it. The younger generation, some do totally get it, right? But most don't. They don't understand the behavior change from school into the workforce. And I think, the big one for me is they don't understand that if I don't follow that customer up, or I don't get that paperwork right, or I don't, check in to make sure this is 100% approved, then basically how that impacts the business. So, the idea is to motivate a young team is that I always talk about a buddy system. So put him with somebody who knows what they're doing, and then make sure you train them right, and make sure that you put some form of pathway in front of them. So again, that could be part of your strategic plan. We want our younger generation in this business. We want to do some succession planning with them. We want to do some leadership work, get them to understand what leadership is about and owning their role. That would be my tip on that. And that's something my wife, she runs the Keeper Careers business at, which is the sister company to KBA. And what that is about trying to help those young people. If you get a young person coming in with the right attitude, who wants to learn and wants to grow and wants to develop, then yeah, I think that's your home and hose with that. You just got to take them on the journey and not lose them. So, and again, I think, younger generation, the more professional you are as a business, the higher the standards you are, they're either going to sink or swim straight away. But if if this goes back to, they're a different breed, they're smarter in technology than what we are, they can do things quicker, but they don't, I see that some of them, not all of them, don't see what happens, the implications that happen if they make a mistake to the business becomes very, very costly. So I wrote an article about case studying a business. It's on our website, a blog, and that was about, always going to the path of, we do a case study on our service or product or delivery. This is what worked really, really well. Here's an area that we didn't go so well. And then here's an area that we exceeded and went above and beyond for the client, and look at the feedback and so on. So it's an education thing with the young workforce. And I think, teachers of today, I feel sorry for them because there's a skill shortage, lack of teachers in our secondary school systems and even in the university. So I think, that industry and education just need to connect better, so we end up with a better workforce later down the track. And that's another conversation, David. Happy to have that with you afterwards. All right, just to finish up, thank you very much for a really good interactive webinar. Probably one of the best interactive webinars we've had for this year, or is one of the top ones actually. But if you loved what we went through today and I have given you my best, then please, if you are happy with what we've done, give us a Google review, because we live by our Google reviews. And if you're disappointed, then please give me a call. I'm more than happy to have a chat to you about something I might not have said properly or might not have articulated, but we're definitely passionate about what we do. We're a great team. And lastly, I want to say thank you to everyone who's on this webinar, who supported us throughout this year. We truly appreciate everything you've done, because, as much as we give our all to your business, you keep us in business, and we want to wish you the most joyful holiday season and a successful year in 2024. As it says, we'll be closed down from the 22nd of December, and we're back on January the 4th, but already the year of 2024 is starting to book up. So have a wonderful afternoon. And yeah, if you need any help, please reach out to us, because that's what we're there for. Thanks very much. And that concludes the webinar. Thank you.